Hi guys, welcome to my channel Creatively Expressive. My name is Amy and today I'm going to be sharing 5 farmhouse DIYs using Dollar Tree products. If you're interested in seeing how I make these DIYs, then please stick around. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad you found me. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, and I just want to say that I really do appreciate your continued support. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. Now let's get started. Alright, so let's get started. So for our first project, I'm using these 3 fabrics that I found at the Dollar Tree. And these galvanized metal signs that I also got at the Dollar Tree. I have a cow, a rooster, and a pig. And then these 3 chalkboard signs that I found at Walmart for $2.18 each. And so I'm just going to lay out my fabric and place my animal onto the fabric, and then I'm using this washable fabric marker to outline my animal onto the fabric. And so each animal will have its own fabric, so I'm using this ticking stripe fabric for the rooster, and then I'm going to use that animal print one for the pig, and then the buffalo plaid for the cow. So I just outline that, and once it's outlined, I'm just going to cut it out by hand. And now I'm just dipping my finger into a little bit of water and getting rid of the blue outline from that fabric marker, and then I let it dry. And now that my fabric is dry, I'm just going to take some matte Mod Podge and I'm going to adhere the fabric to the galvanized metal sign. So I just cover the whole sign with that Mod Podge and then stick the fabric on. And I just do that with each animal. And once each animal is covered in that fabric, I'm going to go back over the top of the fabric with that Mod Podge. And once that Mod Podge has dried, I'm going to place some vinyl words on each sign that I cut out with my Silhouette Cameo. So for the top of this sign, I'm putting Farmer's Market in white vinyl. And then in the center of the cow, I have the word milk that I cut out in black vinyl. And then for the chicken, I'm going to put fresh eggs in the center of the chicken. And I'm also going to go back over that black vinyl with some white vinyl in the same word. And I'm going to like off center it a little bit just to like create like a shadow. So you're mostly going to see that white. The words are going to be white, but then the black vinyl that I'm putting on right now is going to create like a shadow effect. You'll see here in a few moments what I'm talking about. So for the second sign, I put crispy bacon at the top of the sign. And the reason I didn't put the crispy bacon in the center of the pig is because that print on that fabric, I don't think the words would stand out. So here I'm just placing that white vinyl over top of the black vinyl like I was talking about to create that shadow effect. And once I've got all my vinyl wording placed on my signs the way I like, I'm going to go in with some black acrylic paint and a fine detailed paintbrush, and I'm just going to trace an outline around each of those animals just to add a little bit more detail to them. And now I'm just marking my sign with a little chalkboard marker that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just marking where I want to drill some holes, and I'm going to drill some holes into the bottom of the top sign and into the bottom of the middle sign. And the reason I'm doing this is so that I can attach all 3 signs together. And now I'm just placing a bamboo skewer in between those signs as I tie them together, so that each side of the sign, the gap is the same. And then I just remove that skewer. And now I'm just taking some gel super glue that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I am just putting it on the back of those animals, and then I'm just gluing them down to my signs. And now I'm going to make 4 little finger bows out of some jute twine. And I don't know how to describe how to do this with my words. So I hope you can see just by the video what I'm doing here. And if it's still hard to tell how to do it, you can look it up on YouTube. There's lots of videos where they explain it really well, because I can't. But I hope you can see what I'm doing here. And once I had those made, see this, I'm showing you why I'm putting those on, because when I drilled the holes, it took off a little bit of that black finish off of my chalkboards. So I'm just going to hot glue those little bows over those areas so you can't see it. And it adds a little more detail to the sign, I think. It makes it look cute. And that's it. That's all there is to our first project. What do you guys think? Alright, so for our second project, I'm using this laser wood cutout home that I got from the Dollar Tree. 4 of these 21-inch painter stir sticks, the large ones. These seahorse signs that I got from the Dollar Tree. And this galvanized tin windmill sign that I also got from the Dollar Tree. So I cut off those seahorses, and then I also cut those signs in half the long way, so that we have 4 equal sized pieces for our sign. So they look like real wood, even though they're not. So each of those pieces I cut, they measure about 16¼ inches after I cut that seahorse off. And then my frame pieces, I cut 2 pieces to 15 inches, my 2 longer pieces, and then my 2 shorter pieces I cut to about 10¼ inches. And the 2 shorter pieces will just be based on the width of your 4 pieces of your main pieces of your sign placed side by side, whatever that measures. You'll want to cut the shorter pieces. And so I'm just sanding down the edges a little bit to clean them up. And now I marked 10/16 of an inch inside of the sign on each side. And then I'm just going to put some painter's tape along those lines to serve as a guide as to where to glue my shorter frame pieces on. And the reason I'm doing this and not just putting the frame pieces right along the edge of that sign the way I normally would is because of that seahorse that I had to cut off. I needed 15 inches of workable space for my sign, and I wouldn't have that if I put the frame pieces right along the edge. I hope that makes sense. And so now I'm just painting those sticks black with some black chalk paint. And once those are painted, I'm just going to glue on one of those end pieces, the shorter ones. And I'm using a combination of wood glue and hot glue. And so you want to glue on the one short piece first, And then you're going to want to do the 2 longer pieces before you put on your other short piece, which you can see here I made the mistake of putting my 2 short pieces on first. And the reason you want to put the 2 long pieces on before you add that second short piece is so that you can make sure that they'll fit in there. So I put the 2 end pieces on, and then my 2 side pieces would not fit correctly, so I had to rip that off, then put the side pieces on, and then add that second end piece here. So don't do what I did. And now I have this windmill base cutout that I found on the Silhouette Design Store, and then also this Country Roads Take Me Home that I also found on the Silhouette Design Store. And when I was in my Silhouette Design studio, I made like a cutout area around that Country Roads Take Me Home so that it'll fit inside of that windmill base, and there'll be like a little border around it, if that makes sense. So I have to place that Country Roads on top of that windmill base just right. So what I'm doing is I'm placing it on top of my vinyl that I have the base attached to with a piece of parchment paper in between, and then I have it taped together just so that I know when I place down that windmill base vinyl, once it's stuck down there, that the Country Roads Take Me Home is going to fit inside of that sign too, because it's like almost the same width as my sign area is. I hope that makes sense. You can see there's like the cutouts in that windmill base where that Country Roads Take Me Home is going to fit. And so I had to have it where it would fit in the center of the sign, but also fit over that base. I'm mumbling. But anyway, so now I just take an X-Acto knife and I'm cutting that vinyl where those gaps in between those little wood slats are. And now I'm placing down that Country Roads Take Me Home in the center of that windmill base where that cutout area is. Then I'm just sticking that down, and I have a piece of parchment paper in between my transfer tape so that I can get it placed correctly before it sticks down to the sign. And see, it just barely fits just perfect in that sign area, and that's why I had to get it placed correctly. And now I'm just cutting that white vinyl where those wood slats are, like I did with the black vinyl. And now I'm taking some matte Mod Podge and I'm covering over my whole sign with that Mod Podge. So then I'm just taking that metal windmill and I took it apart, and there's a little hole in the center of it. So I'm going to take a little screw and I'm going to put it through that center of that hole, and then I'm going to screw that windmill onto my sign. And then there was this little front piece that was on that windmill, and I'm just taking some Dollar Tree gel super glue and gluing that back onto that center of that windmill so you can't see that screw anymore. And now I'm just painting that little home cutout with some white paint. And now we're taking some jumbo craft sticks, and we're going to glue them onto the back of that sign just to give it give some more support to those wood slats so that they don't bend so easily. So I just put some wood glue and then some hot glue. The wood glue is for permanent hold, the hot glue is for immediate hold. And I put 4 on the back of that sign. And now I'm taking some tacky glue and I'm putting it on the back of that home sign. And then I'm going to glue that to the bottom of this sign under the Country Roads Take Me. So it says Country Roads Take Me Home. And the home will stand out more. And then I'm also using some hot glue for an immediate hold. And I just glue that right to the bottom of that sign. And that's it, guys. What do you think? I think this one turned out really, really, really cute. I love this one. I was unsure of how it was going to look, but I really, really do love the way it ended up turning out. What do you guys think? Now for our third project, we're taking this home-shaped chalkboard sign that I got from the Dollar Tree. And this one's a pretty simple project. I found this Barn Animals Home Sweet Home cut file on the Silhouette Design Store. And I just cut it out with my Silhouette Cameo. And then I am just putting the whole thing on some transfer tape. And then I'm removing that outer edge so that I can see the edge of that wreath, which I should have done first before I put the transfer tape on. So now I'm putting some more transfer tape onto it so I can see the edge of that wreath now. And now I'm just using some parchment paper so that I can get the placement right on my sign before I stick it down permanently. And so I just stick that to the center of that home, and then we're just going to burnish it on there and then remove that transfer tape. And now we're just going to weed out the areas that we don't want to stay on the sign so that you can actually tell what the little sign says. And the reason I did this is because it's such a small cut file that I think it's easier to weed it once you have it adhered to your sign, so you don't end up losing any of those small little pieces. So here I'm just weeding it, and you can see it's a little cow with a pig on top of it, with a rooster on top of the pig, and it says "Home Sweet Home." And that's it, guys. That one was super quick and super easy, but I think it turned out really cute. What do you guys think? Now for our fourth project, we're going to use these two chalkboard tags that were attached that I got from the Dollar Tree. And I found another cut file on the Silhouette Design Store. And you might want to choose one that has less words than what I picked, because this was like a pain in the butt to weed, guys. I'm not going to lie, it was really difficult to do. But I wanted this one, so. But I'm just weeding around the edge of that cut file just so I can tell for placement to place it onto that tag. And then once it's on the tag, I'm going to weed the rest of it off. And again, I'm doing this so that I don't lose any of those little tiny letters before I have it stuck on my sign. So I have just enough weeded off of there so I can tell where I want to place it on that little tag. And then I use the parchment paper and I stick it down to that tag. And then I'm going to burnish it on there with my little scraper tool. And now I'm going to weed out the rest of that design. And this was still a pain in the butt because, well, I found that with the like chalkboard finish on the signs, it doesn't want to stick as well as it does to other things. And then the words were just so tiny that it was a pain in the butt to weed, guys. And then it had these like little swooshes on a spot on there, and they were so tiny that they didn't turn out right. And then I misplaced my little A, so I recut part of that area and I made it fatter. And then also I had to recut that little A because I couldn't find it. So I'm just removing that one area because it was just way too skinny to be able to tell that those were little like swooshes, I guess you call them. So I recut it fatter, and then I'm just placing that in that area where I removed it. And then I also placed that A that was missing. And now I'm taking this fabric that I got from the Dollar Tree. I think it's really cute, and it kind of looks like chalkboard. And I'm just cutting a piece big enough to fit on that second tag. And then we're just going to take some matte Mod Podge and cover that whole tag with that Mod Podge. And then stick that piece of fabric on there. And then put some more Mod Podge on top of that fabric and let it dry. And then we're also going to put some Mod Podge on that other tag just so that none of that vinyl comes off. And now once that fabric is dry, I'm just taking an X-Acto knife and I'm cutting around the edge of that tag. And it cuts really easy once the Mod Podge is dry because it's kind of hard. And now I'm just cutting out that center hole from that fabric that covered over that hole. And then we're gonna hot glue the two tags together, just the way you think it looks cute. And so only one of those holes is gonna be exposed on the front. So I'm tying some jute twine through that hole on that tag, and then I'm going to take that extra jute twine that was left over after I tied that knot, and I'm just going to wrap it around that knot and then just put little dabs of hot glue and just keep doing that just to make like a bigger knot so that it doesn't pull through that hole, and then it just adds more detail to it and makes it look cuter, I think. So we have that cute little knot right there. And then for the other tag, I'm tying a knot, and you can't put the jute twine through it since that tag is covering it. So I'm just pushing that knot into that hole and hot gluing it in there. And the reason I'm putting that other piece on the back of the sign, even though it can't go through that hole, is so that it'll hang right. And that's it. What do you guys think? I think this one is really cute. And now for our last project, we're using this galvanized metal mason jar sign that I got from the Dollar Tree. And then I found another farmhouse cut file on the Silhouette Design Store, and I just weeded around the edge of it, and then I place it onto my mason jar sign with some parchment paper so I can get the placement right, and then I just burnish it on there. And then again, the wording was really, really tiny, so I'm going to weed the rest of it off once I have it placed on that sign. And again, the wording was really small, so it was a pain in the butt to weed, and I ended up losing some of the little pieces and had to recut them and place them back on afterwards. So if you don't want to go through all this headache, you might want to choose a larger image with less words on it so you don't have to go through all this, but this is what I wanted to do. So and now I'm just removing that frame because it doesn't fit on that mason jar. And that's it, guys. That was all there was to this project. What do you guys think? I think this one is super cute, and it'll look super cute in your farmhouse kitchen. And that's it, guys. That's all the projects. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye! I would really appreciate it if you consider... Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Creatively Expressive. Welcome. I'm so glad you found me, and I would really appreciate it if you continue. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, it's time for a haircut. I like it this length, but it doesn't want to stay in a bun anymore, so I need to get a little bit chopped off. Like this much. Yeah, about that much. What do you guys think? How much? Yeah. I only get my hair cut like once every 2 years because I find it super, super awkward to sit there trying to make conversation with the hairstylist because I'm super introverted, so not my thing.